What is up, people? It is MewMonster58 and welcome back to another video review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the SH Figuarts Android 20, otherwise known as Dr. Gero. Now, this is a figure that has had a good amount of discussion around it, considering the quality of the figure, the accessories, the skin tone in particular is one topic of discussion, the finishes on some of the body parts and everything like that, but we'll get into that when we obviously take a look at this guy. But when it comes to the boxes, you can see some very nice product shots here of Android 20 or Dr. Gero. Toei Animation, Dragon Ball Z, obviously, Tamashii Nations, you got Bandai right there as well. Some more nice product shots here on the side, some more nice product shots here on the back, and then more nice text here on the side, but here's some more of the product shots on the back. You can see that he does come with a lot of accessories, which I do think is very, very cool. And so I think that's really about it for the box. As usual, they have very nice boxes. I always love the boxes they do for the Figuarts figures, specifically for the Dragon Ball line, but yeah, that's about it. So without further ado, and here we have Android 20 Dr. Gero out of the box. And I gotta say, I have some very good things to say about this, also some not great things. The main thing that I'll say, let's get the bad out of the way. A lot of the topic of discussion are the finishes, specifically here taking a look at his little vest thing, I guess, as well as the shoulders. Personally, I think the shoulders, the arms, this looks okay. I can definitely see why the glossy finish makes this thing look cheap. I can definitely understand why people say that. But the thing that, to me, doesn't look the best are the pants. I think the pants don't look all that great. I think they kind of look real cheap. Like, I don't know, I wish there was some shading to break this up, because if there was some more shading to break up, or any shading to break up the pants, like they did here for the shoulders, you can see that shading right here, you can see the darker shading here, as opposed to the lighter colors here. I think that would have made this figure look a fair bit better when it comes to the pants department. But other than that, I will say that his skin tone, take it or leave it, I'm okay with it. Other people aren't okay with it and they don't like it. I can understand why. But again, I am okay with it. I think when I'm thinking back to watching Dragon Ball Z for the a gazillionth time that I already have, you know, I honestly kind of think it matches what we saw in the show, but I can see why people say that it doesn't and stuff like that, but what are you going to do? So at the end of the day, when it comes to the details, I do think that the face, taking a look at the face here, the face is fantastic. I mean, you can't deny that looking at the, sorry about the camera movement, the animation, and looking at this is very, very close. I mean, we'll put them side by side here. I'll throw a little picture on the screen right there for a few seconds. But yeah, honestly, I genuinely think that his face, in terms of the details, the eyes are very well done. The sculpt is very well done. I think it looks like Dr. Gero. The mustache is also very cool. You do have his very Jace-like hair here. You do have nice molded in detail here for like the certain areas of the fabric. So you got some nice stuff here, you got some nice creases and everything like that going down here. And again, it's just really the lack of shading that's ruining this for me, because there's no shading here in like the crotch area, there's no shading here on the creases area, but it's still nicely molded. And going down here, you can see his like little ankle I guess ankle sweatbands, I guess, and then you got the his very awkward looking shoes. But yeah, overall, do I think he is awful looking? Not, I don't think he's awful, but I do think that there is certainly room for improvement. And again, actually, the one thing, the Red Ribbon Army hat is really, really cool here. So overall, I think he's pretty solid. So to do a couple quick comparisons, we're actually going to set him off to the side here. The first one we'll do here is with Super Saiyan Goku, the 3.0 release, and this is about how I would expect both of them to be. Again, Goku was a decent bit taller than both Android 20 as well as Dr. Gero here, or Android 19 as well as Dr. Gero here, so some really solid stuff. Obviously, this Goku is going to be a bit more buff. I think that once he started to get more control over the Super Saiyan power level, he started to be able to sort of not be nearly not need to be as buff as he was like in the Frieza saga, when obviously he fought Frieza and he first turned into the Super Saiyan for the first time. But yeah, you can see that these two, again, they scale relatively well together. Again, I think that Goku should be a little bit taller than both Android 20, Dr. Gero here, as well as Android 19. And speaking of Android 19, here they are, and this is again how they should scale. Obviously, Android 19 was a wide boy; he was a chonky boy. Dr. Gero was obviously the much more skinny character, but at the end of the day, they were the pretty much the exact same height. The only difference really is the hats, and at the end of the day, when you put these two like side by side, they're really, to the face, they are the exact same height. It's just the hat on Dr. Gero here that makes him a tad bit taller, and we'll show these two together with this faceplate that Dr. Gero actually comes with. He comes with the matching faceplate, which is really cool. So yeah, for comparisons, I think that Dr. Gero scales very fine, and especially from a distance on a shelf, this guy will definitely fit very well with your other SH Figuarts releases. Alrighty, and before we get into the accessories, the articulation, and it's okay. It's not amazing, but it's not awful. And the main reason I'll say it's not amazing, there's two reasons. One, the hair. Very much like Jace, this guy's top heavy, and he doesn't like to stand always the best because he is top heavy because of that hair. If you make it hollow, then people will complain it's hollow. If you make it full, well, then it's going to be very top heavy, which it is decently full of, material inside, so you do have some weight to it, but again, that's heavy. And the other reason is because of all of the baggy clothing. I mean, we know this with Android 19. The main issue with Android 19, despite some of his glossy looks that a lot of people didn't like, was also the fact that he had very limited articulation, specifically in the legs, because of the very baggy pants. And that is a bit of a shame, but I guess that's also down to the designs of the characters. But again, I can definitely see the complaints about them not being super articulate. So getting into this, guys, you do have a ball joint at the head, so you can look down a fair bit. You can look, whoops, I'll show that later. You can look a decent bit up, but not really, and then you can do a full 360, but again, you don't really need full 360 here, but you can see this guy can look left to right perfectly fine. You do have a butterfly joint, but that's another issue. The bagginess doesn't allow an insane butterfly joint, but you do have a butterfly joint like so. You can do a full 360 with the arms. You have an upper rotation at the upper part of the bicep, and then you have way more than 90 at the elbow, and then the wrists are obviously on ball joints, so you can get the nice motion out of those. Waist, you do have some really nice waist because this guy's so tiny. You actually do get a full 360 without being impaired. You do get forward a fair bit. You do get back very, very far as well. The issue here is the knee. Obviously, this all, impairs it. It would be able to bend more if it didn't. But yeah, you get about 90 at the knee. You do have an upper thigh rotation as well. And then you have ball joints here at the ankle. So overall, again, it's not the best. And again, the major issue with this guy is his top heaviness. So it's still solid. It's just not as good as it could be given his design and how they designed the figure and everything like that. So again, solid, just not the best in any respect. Alright, he does come with a fair bit of accessories, which is pretty cool. So taking a look at the accessories, let's take a look at the hands. So he does come with the classic sort of grippy hands, but it's nice that you get to see that they do have the key absorption devices put right in the center, very much like Android 19, so it's a nice little attention to detail. But we do have like the grippy fighting pose hands. Let's not tip backwards, my friend. And then you also have these blasty hands, which obviously are really solid. Again, these are pretty much standard with every Dragon Ball SH Figuarts release, but you do have them as well. And then we're going to just kind of set those there for now because they are tiny and my gremlin hands, man. And then you do have these hands. Now, these hands, I believe, are to recreate the scene where he stabs Yamcha through the chest and almost kills him. And so you can use them for either hand, which I think is a pretty cool thing to do. And I believe that Yamcha will come with an accessory that essentially, like, he has, like, the face that he has when Dr. Gero grabs him by the mouth, right? So some cool stuff there. Overall, some pretty solid hands, not a ton. But the other hand that you get is actually this hand. This hand is like a grippy hand. And why? Because he actually comes with the little remote that was supposed to be able to disable Android 17 and 18, which is really cool. Obviously, very simple, but it was simple in the show. This is pretty much exactly how it looked. So all you got to do is just literally you take the hand and then you just slide this in. Like so. Yep, like so. And then it actually holds in there pretty well. So pretty cool that they decided to add this little accessory for Dr. Gero here, obviously to disable the androids. And then taking a look at the other stuff, and we'll show you how to put these all on in a second here. You do have that iconic face. So the other iconic face from the iconic shot with Android 19, where they're looking around, I believe, what is it? On an island 9 miles southwest of South City. Yeah, in there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to remember what they were saying. But yeah, in that city, this is the obvious face, and it looks really awesome. You can see the side eye there. Very, very cool. You do have a classic sort of Dragon Ball screaming face, which he did in the show as well. And then you do have this little smirk face. I can't exactly remember in what scene he did this, and I think it was like... Was it when maybe Vegeta and Goku were boasting about them turning Super Saiyans or something? Or, no, I think it was when they discovered that Android 20 could absorb, and 19 could absorb ki levels, and they baited Goku and Vegeta into shooting them so that they could absorb the ki and obviously power themselves up. I think that was the face here. The other thing he comes with is his broken arm. So in one of the episodes after they kill Android 19 and then they're chasing Dr. Gero, what ends up happening is he attacks Piccolo. Gohan saves him. Piccolo goes one-on-one with Dr. Gero and then cuts off his arm. And so he cuts off his right arm, and so this is the right hand, and this is, and part of the arm, and this is the ability for you to actually just put that on and recreate that scene. The other scene, obviously, is when he has his brain. So you can see that's actually really nicely detailed there. You can see the molding of the brain is actually pretty cool. But yeah, this is really nice that they added this. Obviously, there's the scene in that part of the show where he gets his hat knocked off, and then you can see his brain, and then obviously you can definitely prominently see essentially his preserved brain in the Android 17 and 18 scene. So yeah, the last thing he does come with is a face for Goku. He does come with the heart attack face that Goku had. So obviously, if you watch the show, you know that there's the scenes where Goku is fighting Android 19, and then they were warned about Goku's heart virus from Trunks, and this is the face that replicates Goku sweating and having, a very hard time keeping up his power level and fighting Android 19. So really cool that they added this, really neat. I don't have necessarily the figure that goes along with it, but you can see it looks very nice and very nicely molded. You can see the sweat details on there are very, very cool. So to get everything on, so what's cool about Android 20, I will say, Dr. Gero, when it comes to taking the faces off, you don't have to remove the head. So all you got to do is remove the hat, which again, very cool. You can remove the hat, and then you just got to remove the face. And so I'll put on the iconic side-eye face, put that on, and then just goes back on like that. So for the head, you can also, for the brain, you can also put that on. So if you want to, you can put that on, and you can see there's just a big hole in there, and then there's the tab on top of his head, and then you can put it, and now Dr. Gero has his brain. And then if you remove this, we'll remove this for now. Actually, well, no, we'll keep it on. And then we can remove the hand, and then we can just remove, not go that far. Just got it. There you go. Remove that, and then obviously here is Dr. Gero with one arm missing. This is obviously his sort of complete, like, death look. This is the last thing that we really saw before Android 17 kicked his head off. And then to replace the hand, you can just remove this. And then what we'll do here is we'll grab the hand with the remote. If I don't drop it. The hand with the remote, and then we can just peg that in very simply. He's got little small joints, so just be careful with that. But yeah, here you have Android 20 Dr. Gero with his brain as well as the remote. So again, and his missing arm. So again, you can have this display if you really want to, and I think that that is very cool how you can. So overall, really solid stuff and really solid accessories. Again, it's just really, I guess, the look, the quality, the materials and the way that they sculpted certain things, and a little bit of the articulation, which definitely take away for people, and definitely I can understand. Even though for me, I still really do like this figure. And at the end of the day, would I, recommend it? Well, we'll have to keep watching to find out, right? So, very, very cool stuff. Very solid accessories. Very happy with the lineup that he got. Alrighty, so for my final and concluding thoughts on the SH Figuarts Android 20, otherwise known as Dr. Gero, this is decent. And again, I understand, like, the complaints, and I get it. But for me, I don't know, I do really still like this figure overall. Now, would I end up recommending this figure? Yes and no. I mean, if you do really find issue with, specifically when it comes to the price, I'll say, and with the certain quality on some of the materials as well as some of the finishes, I can definitely understand why you wouldn't buy this. And I don't, I'm not forcing you to say or to buy anything. You do with your money what you want to do with it. But for me, as someone who really wants to have all this display, I definitely think that he fulfills the needs that I want him to. He's going to be on a shelf full of other villains, and I think he fits very, very well on there. And so overall, I'm pretty happy with him. If I have to give him a rating out of 10, I'll give him probably a 7. I do think that the issues that he has definitely are exacerbated in certain areas, but I don't think that they are an end-all be-all. But the major reason he's definitely a 7, definitely people can argue a 6, is for the price. He is a rather expensive figure, for him, for what you want. And at the end of the day, I can't, I don't know. Do I recommend, like I said, yes or no? I mean, yes and no, excuse me. So, overall, decent figure. If you do want to pick yours up, I did pick mine up on the Big Bad Toy Store, so I'll leave a link to that in the description below. I'll also see if you can get it on Amazon, but I don't think you can. I think just Big Bad Toy Store is the major location, but again, I'll leave a link to Amazon if you can buy it there as well. I'll also look if P Bandai, I didn't know if this was a pre-order one for P Bandai, or if this was like you can just buy it whenever, from P Bandai, because it's just still available. I'll take a look at that as well. But yeah, I think that's about it, so I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. Also, follow me in the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, I thank you once again so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.